Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to my talk. So very happy to be there today with you at the conference. And so we'll be spending the next 40 minutes together by talking about creative technologies and how we can blend creativity with technology to fuel innovation. So it might seem a bit abstract for now, but I assure you that you will see a bit more clearly throughout the presentation. So to talk a bit about myself, so my name is Victor. So I'm based in south of France in Sophia Antipolis, and I'm working in Accenture. To do a bit of story, I've been growing up with basically two passions, one for art and especially visual arts. So I'm doing like parallel of my work at Accenture, some photography, street art, and cinema work as well. But also I've been passionate about technologies. So I've been a bit of a nerd when I was growing up, so experimenting with programming language and building things. And so that was really the two parts of myself. And when I joined Accenture in 2019, I've been lucky enough to actually merge those two passions into my work and to drive innovation projects that are both creative and technology also at the same time. And so now I'm working in the tech innovation group, where I'm focusing on two aspects. So the first one is those creative tech innovation projects. And the other one are like within the robotics team, where I'm specializing in what we call experience-based robotics. So basically how we can get good user experiences with robots and how we can get those experiences today and tomorrow as well. And so I just wanted to introduce the topic with like a small quote from Albert Einstein that says that imagination is more important than knowledge. For knowledge is limited to all we know and understand, while imagination embraces the entire world and all there ever will be to know and understand. So in this quite concise but powerful quote, actually Einstein shows that the role of creativity is actually to expanding the boundaries of knowledge. And it suggests also that imagination actually paves the way of creating something new, something that can later be widely accepted and can become eventually knowledge. So if we put that into like business terms, Einstein is actually saying that creativity and imagination are actually the very foundation of what we call today innovation. And so that's why you're going to see in the following slide is how creativity with technology can intersect to fuel innovation and give life to those sometimes crazy ideas. So before starting, we can ask the question, what is creativity? It's a word that we use a lot, but sometimes it's difficult to know exactly what we're talking about. So I'm just going to show you a few considerations when we talk about creativity. The first one is to take the definition from the dictionary. So it says that it's the ability to produce or to use original and unusual ideas. Okay, why not? So when do we are creative? One famous example is actually when we sleep, and more especially when we dream. We are creative in that sense. We produce original, unusual ideas, sometimes crazy ideas, sometimes scary ideas, but it's definitely a moment where we are all, as humans, creative. Next is with art. Creativity is often associated with artists, and that is because creativity is often associated with skills, like for example, with curiosity. And creativity also encourages experimentation. And actually artists are just people that have sometimes original, unusual ideas, and they want to express them to the audience. And so they choose a way of representing those ideas to the public and through their art. But creativity actually also exists within the business world. And today, it's not a luxury to be creative in the business, it's actually a necessity. So if we take, for example, the smartphone, it's actually today a device that has revolutionized the way we interact, the way we communicate, even the way we work. But at the beginning, it was just a bunch of creative minds that had crazy ideas that put them together and that gave birth to this device that is now sitting in the pocket of billions of people. And businesses need to be creative because businesses need to reinvent themselves constantly. Because they need to anticipate the needs of the users that will be tomorrow and to fulfill the ones that we'll have today. And I couldn't do a presentation today without talking about generative AI. So let's do that right away. But we can ask the question, are these machines and generative AI creative? And actually, a very tricky question. We could say yes, maybe, if we take the first definition, that creativity is the ability to produce or to use original, unusual ideas. Indeed, sometimes when I use GPT or Midjourney or Stable Diffusion, I get unusual and original ideas. But is it the same than the creativity of the humans? Surely not, because it's actually a tool, like a pen or a sheet of paper, a blank sheet of paper could be as creative as GPT, because the way we use those tools, they express the creative that we have as humans. And especially when we are creative as humans, we involve part of our brains and part of ourselves that are more deeply connected to our emotions, to our experiences, and even to abstract thinking. Whereas those machines are just creative, but it's an illusion of creativity. It's more like statistical patterns, the data that has been trained on, and the algorithm behind it. So for the moment, those machines are not really creative in the sense of humans, but maybe tomorrow. And then if we want to a bit summarize what is actually creativity in a few words, we could say that it actually could be a spark that could ignite a sort of flame, the flame of invention. And it's a bit of a catalyst that allows us as humans to dream and to envision some solutions. And then it's up to us to turn those visions into reality, because those kind of ideas are actually the power to move the world, as you can see for the business part or for the art part that's coming from the human. So now that we know what is creativity, we want to explore what is the synergy between creativity and technology. And if we consider like a development of a product or a project or a solution, we want to integrate three main considerations in it. First, we want it to be desirable. So we want so that the product and the service eventually meet the needs of the user. They can bring satisfaction. That's something that the user will eventually need and actually want also. We want also the product to be feasible. So either in terms of technologies, in terms of resources, in terms of budget, we want something that is actually realistic to envision. And at the same time, we want something that is viable. So something that can bring either generate revenues or bring values in some sort, achieve some goals, and that could be sustained on the long term and then actually bring value either to the business or to the user itself. And we can consider to have a good innovation today, and the successful innovation is to work at the intersection of those three aspects. And those three aspects could be actually really mapped to the word that I was talking before, so the creativity part, the technology part, and the business part. And today in this talk, we are particularly focusing on this intersection, so between the creativity one and the technology one. And we can see a sort of concept that is arising from this. And it's the concept of creative technologist. So what is actually a creative technologist? It could be the title of a job, but I think it's mainly a mindset. So it's kind of a translator that can understand both words, the word of the creativity, the word of the technology, and then can act as a translator to bridge the gap between those two. Because sometimes designers don't understand what's happening on the development side, and developers don't actually understand why we are designing in the first place. So the creative technology job is actually to make the connection between those two and to use his technical skills and his expertise and his creative vision to give life to the idea that was originally initiated. So it's a bit something you can have like different kind of skills that are associated to this creative technologist. It could be ideation, communication, and also problem solving, because you have problem solving more on the technical side, but some on the creative side. And you need to have both to enter those kind of projects. And so now I will just walk you through like 3 examples of projects that we've developed. So the first one will be like a new inclusive experience with Vime. The next one will be then a new driving experience with Carolive, and then a new travel experience with Vibe. And it's actually so projects that we've explored and developed within Accenture. So working both with creative minds, development minds, and also strongly with the work as the team C in Accenture in Bratislava, who are very collaborating with us to develop those ideas. So the first one is Vime. So Vime is actually an application to help visually impaired people to apply makeup. So it's kind of difficult for people with visual disabilities to apply makeup because you don't have the visual feedback. And one issue and challenge also is the fact that you are not autonomous. So you need to ask to a third person to actually help you. So your husband, your friend, etc. But you can't really do on yourself. So we developed an artificial intelligence that is allowing to help in the makeup routine and to actually assist and validate the makeup that is put by the different person. So it's a voice-based technology that can basically scan your makeup and give recommendations. For example, the fact that your lipstick had smeared a bit on your teeth, or that you have somewhere that you have not applied makeup. And then it's all developed within the scope of accessibility. So both in terms of design, so that the global experience is actually accessible, but also in terms of technology, so that it can be integrated, for example, with accessibility technologies such as screen readers. And we actually had tremendous feedbacks on this application, because when we tested it with visually impaired people, it was not because the technology was amazing, but it was because it was invisible enough so that it can deliver an experience that is truly challenging for them and that can really give them a sense of autonomy. The next one is called Book a Vibe. So here it's more focused on the travel industry. So sometimes maybe you want to go on vacation with friends or with families. You know that you want to go, for example, at the beach somewhere sunny, but you actually don't care on the destination. And you don't want to spend hours on Airbnb to see for destinations or to Google Flights to see the best destination. And so here it's a platform that is not destination centric. So meaning that you don't actually book the destination, but you book the vibe, so you book the intent. So it's a GenAI platform where you put an intent as a text. So for example, I want to go somewhere sunny during 2 weeks in July. And the tool will automatically book you what is the package that is best matching your needs. So it could be the destination, it could be also the way of travel, if you want to, for example, travel more on the sustainability side, some local experiences like parties, etc. And what's the magic is that the thing can move. So for example, is at the beginning, you want to book the sun, and the tool suggests that you should go to Italy. But 2 weeks before departure, it's actually forecasted to rain in Italy, but it's sunny in Spain. The tool will automatically change your booking from Italy to Spain so that your final vacation actually respects the intent that you had at the beginning. So here it's a small video that shows how it works. So basically you put the prompt. So here's like beach location, sunny vacation between 2 dates and 2 persons. And then it's submitted so with a GenAI engine that's connected to third-party also APIs like Amadeus, etc., to have some hotels, weather forecast recommendations. And then you land on a page that has basically the analysis of your prompt, so they can recognize what parts of your intent are matching what characteristics, so the destination, etc. And then you have basically 3 packages for 3 different budgets. So we have the mid-range, the high-end, and the luxury. And for each of the packages, it suggests you destination, hotels, accommodations, and experiences to do locally at that place. So, for example, for the luxury package, you won't have the same experiences that the mid-range one. And so it's something that you can put anything you want in that, and it will actually show you the best package. And the last project is called CarLive. So CarLive is a smart AI assistant within the car in order to reimagine and reinvent the experience that the driver has, but also the passengers. So for example, it's a system that is aware of the context. So you can know whether you are driving to your office in the morning, or if you're driving with friends in the weekend, or you're driving with your family and you're with a baby behind you, and can adapt the experience within the car depending on that, and can nudge some actions that are actually relevant depending on the context that you are in. So it's a GenAI system that basically takes into input a context and then can output what are the actions that are the more relevant and what is the responses that I can get as an assistant. So there are a lot of use cases where you can apply that, and we have truly developed during the summer first proof of concept that is highlighting the concept. And we are now taking it to the next level, and so you can see now a 3-minute video that shows what we are currently building.
Hey Gary, I'm going to Paris. How is the weather looking today?
The weather in Paris today is clear skies with highs of 20 degrees Celsius.
Okay, great. And how is the traffic around Paris at the moment?
Traffic around Paris is currently quieter than usual.
Brilliant. Can you recommend a sightseeing tour?
Would you like a tour passing the main monuments or a celebrity tour passing houses and film sets?
Monument tour.
Great. I calculated a 2-hour tour driving by all the main monuments. Would you like the guided tour to be in child-friendly language for your family?
Yes, please.
I am creating the list and will add the tour to your navigation system for you to activate at any time.
Amazing. Can you please share the plan with my partner?
Would you like me to send this via text or email?
Text, please.
Okay. Text is sent.
Okay, let's please end the tour at a well-known French bistro.
I can install and activate the brand new restaurant guide of Michelin from our App Store. It is included in your subscription for no extra cost.
Sure, go ahead.
Successfully installed. Here is a recommendation for a bistro in Paris close to the end of your sightseeing tour with a 4.4 rating. Would you like me to dial their number for a reservation?
Yes, please.
Calling Bistro Richelieu. Hey Martin, based on your driving behavior, I can see you are pretty tired. To prevent you from putting yourself and others in danger, I suggest stopping for a break.
Okay, yes, that's a good idea.
Great. A route to a nearby stop is now on the GPS. For the remaining 15-minute drive, I can suggest 3 ways to keep you alert while driving. Call someone from your address book. Play an energizing playlist. Play a game with you.
Play an energizing playlist, please, Carrie.
Great choice. Now playing your energizing playlist. Hey Martin, according to your calendar you have a call with Nils in 15 minutes. According to the traffic information, we will not reach your destination in time. I can suggest you the following solutions. Guide you to a parking to take the call. Send an email to Nils asking him to reschedule.
Thanks for reminding me, Carrie. Please send an email to Nils to reschedule.
Understood. Here is my draft. Dear Nils, apologies, I must reschedule our meeting as I am stuck in traffic. I will send you a new invite as soon as I have reached the office.
Perfect. Please send the email. Thank you.
Sure. Email is sent.
Example video that shows you what kind of use cases we can have, but actually the possibilities are limitless. You can have everything that goes, for example, taking care of the fact that you have a baby in the back and you need to lower the volume or adapt of singing a lullaby, for example. So for the moment, we are focusing on these ones, but this could become really big, and this is a system at its core that could be applied to a lot of systems, such as robotics, where you have at the core something that takes a context and that knows exactly what to do next. So now we can argue what are the biggest challenges that the creative technologies has. And challenges are actually really important because I think that's something that can also descend from machines. And it's important for us also to explore our creativity through the challenges. And the first one is balancing creativity with technology. When you have an idea or solution, you want the solution to rely on a good part on the creative parts, on the vision, on the idea itself, on the experience, the design. But you want also that the idea rely on a good part, on a good tech, so tech that is innovative, a tech that works. You don't want like just an incredible experience, but a tech that is not working and that is not great. And either you don't want to use this amazing tech, but don't have like an application for it. Then it's balancing user needs with technical feasibility. So with creativity, it's easy to dream big, but sometimes you need to keep your feet on the ground. And so sometimes there are a lot of features that are crazy. And sometimes you have the tools to achieve that, but sometimes you don't. So you need to adjust what could be the experience today based on the tools that I have and technologies that I have, and how I can make a compromise between these needs and the technologies that I have in hand. Then it's keeping up with technology. And this one is actually an important one because today technology is moving really fast. If we take the example of generative AI, in 1 year, it's amazing what has happened. Every day there is a new research paper, and the same is happening with tremendous of field. So a creative technologist should be not an expert in one particular area. So we don't expect a creative technologist to be a data scientist or an expert in robotics, but he needs to know a bit of everything so that when a creative idea comes into the desk, he can nudge it into the right direction, involve the good experts, and then be aware of what is happening next. Then the collaboration between different disciplines. This one is a tough one because, as I said before, sometimes as designers don't really understand the work of the developers. Like designers don't understand why it's taking too much time to develop one particular feature. And designer and the developer don't understand why you need to put the button at that place and why you need to have that marketing. But it's actually important. And as a creative technologist, you need to explain and to bridge the gap between those two so that the collaboration is seamless and you create sort of common language between your team. Then managing the market speed and securing IP. This one is important also because having a good idea is great, but being the first to have this idea is even better. And it's important because an idea is very fragile, something very that can happen somewhere else. Someone can steal the idea or someone can have exactly the same idea all over the world. So you need to back this idea with real tangible stuff. And this kind of things is like patents. So like the patents on your technology, on the global vision. And it's really important so that you keep the advance that you can have on the market by having the idea first. And then it's a resource limitation. So sometimes you have a great idea, but you don't have all the resources, either in terms of budget, in terms of people, in terms of technology. So here you can be creative too. You can be creative in the way that you use those resources and how you can even give life to the idea with the resources that you have on hand. So here's just a small schema on how we are doing this methodology within Accenture and how we work within the creative tech innovation team with the rest of Accenture. So we work closely, of course, with the client so that we can sell the idea eventually, and also closely with all the different parts of Accenture, so the tech innovation part, but also Song and SNC. We are kind of the organization working on the customer experience, so the creative part and the business part, and also with partners and external vendors. And how we prototype to do so, we are working in a sort of agile way. So at the entry, we have sort of an idea of problems that we want to resolve. And the first thing that we do is like to challenge assumptions. So challenge what we have in entry. So do not take for granted anything that you have, any like preconception that you might have on which technology to use and how it will look like. But we will challenge everything so that you really start from zero. And then you can do the foundation. So the foundation is kind of the architecture so that you know the vision, you know where you need to go. You have the skeleton of the solution that you want to build. And then you go with the implementation and development itself. And only after you test and you review and you redo this cycle, for example, for different sprints, like an agile, so that you can really create your solution. And at the end of it, if you're lucky enough, you have like a proof concept, a prototype, or MVP, that you can take to the client. That could be a first tangible proof or your ID that you can sell eventually. But the right pace is also important. So if we take on an axis, for example, the tech readiness, meaning like the maturity of a tech, and we consider the different disciplines that are focusing on the timeline on this tech, we have far away like the basic research that is more looking at the 10 years area. Then we have the applied R&D. Then we have what we could call like go-to-market innovation. So innovation which is close to the market and close to what's happening that you can sell quite happily. And then the commercial tech, what you're using every day. And so on the other way around, we can say that in terms of applicability, so in terms of user adoption, there will be better adoption on the commercial tech, whereas on the basic research that has not met the market yet. But on the other way around, in terms of potential of innovation, you have a higher potential when you're working at something completely new, rather than when you're working on some commercial tech and mainstream tech. And within creative tech innovation, we are focusing on this one. So on this area where you are close enough to the market that we have a great level of applicability and you can rapidly meet your users, but at the same time, you have still have room for innovation and for creating something that is completely new. And actually, within the group of tech innovation, the organization is mapped also to this timeline. So for example, we have on one side, so these ventures on the open innovation, that are more working on the external aspect, so like partnerships and strategic investment startups. But then for the other three, the labs are more working also on the R&D part, so more basic research or the applied R&D. The tech incubation group is working on this go-to-market innovation, as we say, so how we can incubate the next businesses for Accenture in these emerging technologies. And the liquid studios that are working more close with the client to develop prototypes and to scale quite rapidly with innovation. And we are working with a bunch of subjects that goes from material science and bioinnovation, for example, that are very starting and not very mature, but scaling also the other like artificial intelligence, cloud, and everything in between, like quantum and also robotics. So you might have heard my teammates from the robotics teams before in the talks. So basically, we're part of the team that is incubating this business for Accenture, so the business of robots. So it's a big trend that is starting now because we've seen in the past few years that robots had a huge impact first on the industrial world, so more on the manufacturing, But now, as Maria also said this morning, that we will see robots in contact with ourselves in our daily life. So you might have already robots at your home, for example, the vacuum robots or the kitchen robots. This is just a start, actually. And it will happen in very various industries, such as hospitality, retail. And so we want to build those next-gen robotics in a simple and fast way also. And so we're working within the team with like workshops, creating assets, working with clients so that we can really create this new ecosystem. And we're actually working on a very large scale of capabilities and domains, working with all types of robots, but also in terms of capabilities itself, we're working with Gen AI, simulation, system and platforms, and the last one, which is that I'm focusing on, with experience-led robotics. So because those robots will be in more and more interactions with humans, it's important that the experience that we have is good. Otherwise, there won't be any adoption, and the robots won't be used. So it's so critical that they bring value to the daily interaction that they have, either by creating new type of experiences or by improving the one that we have already. There is nothing worse, for example, than a robot that doesn't understand what you say, or that is bumping into the wall or something like that. So you want to have an end-to-end solution if you have adoption that is good. So we need to understand what is the point of view of the users, what are the needs, and how we can create these intuitive and adapted experiences for users as well. And so this is something we are exploring, and it's actually exactly at the intersection between creativity and technology. Because you need both to create this focus and to create those experiences, and you need skills and topics that come from the creativity part and from the technology part. So if we take, for example, topics that are creative and that are linked to experience-led robotics, you can have like accessibility, UX design, research, personalization, privacy, etc. So all of these topics that are important that we bring into the experiences. And the technology part, there are a bunch of topics as well: simulation, speech recognition, computer vision, for example, to do gesture control. And so you need to blend those topics together to create something as a whole that could be eventually become reality. And so if we split all of these topics together, we have basically 4 different domains. So 4 domains on which we can focus for experience-led robotics. The first one is human-centered design. So it's what is happening more on the upstream than the robot. So how we can design a robot that's looking good. We are talking a bit earlier by Fabien on the humanoid. For example, the form factors robot is also important. And it's important to understand what are the users want and looking for. So you need to do also some research or what are the expectations. Then you have the interactions with the robot itself. So you want it to have natural and intuitive. So you can use, for example, a good speech recognition, gesture control to interact with the robot, NLP, computer vision, so that the robot is as autonomous as possible. But you also need to have UX and UI design because, for example, from the operators that will use the robots, you need to have a clear interface, for example, for them to use, as such to the users will be in contact with the robots. If you have, for example, a tablet or touchscreen of the robots, you need to make clearly because you have expectations, for example, that are coming from your phone, where you are using your Uber app and that is really intuitive. You want to have the same in every touch point that you might have in your life. Then there is adaptability and personalization. So it's important that the experience that the users have will be adapted to the user. For example, I won't have the same experience than you because we don't have the same expectations, we don't have the same needs, and the user needs to know who he's talking with so that we each have a different expectation. And then also, it's a talk that will be just after, but responsibility and ethics. It's a critical aspect if we want to have a good user adoption. So especially today, because we've seen like some challenges with technology, as with smartphones, etc. We want so that if it's integrated with society, we want to make sure that it's stable for us and that can bring value without causing harm as well. And of course, around all of this, we have AI and generative AI that can really fuel all of these ideas and all of these topics. And this is what we are looking at this year, on how, especially on this intuitive interactions, this personalization, how we can have those great experiences with robots today. And so just to conclude to this, the end of the hour, so just to conclude to this talk, we've seen basically what is creativity, how we can have a synergy between creativity and technology, a few examples, and then the methodology that we've put in place within tech innovation and robotics. And I just wanted to leave you with one thought on this. and to really highlight the importance of collaboration. So the importance of collaboration with your peers that you know that you work with, but also from other disciplines. Like it's really important to think about it in multi-dimension and to collaborate, for example, with designers, developers, business person, artists, psychologists, because they can all bring a different point of view and different perspective on one particular idea, and can really bring the idea to a next level, to expand it, and to have something that is really innovative in multiple dimensions. And you actually, I think, a lot to learn from each other. And collaboration also within your brain. And I mean, like with your different personalities. So I don't say that you are all schizophrenic, but you might have past experiences in your other work, on your other teams. You might have also patients on the side. Just take the best out of them. Tap into those patients, tap into those experiences, so that you can really think about your work and your point of view from a unique angle. And this will bring value in the projects that you do because you want to become actors, and it can really fuel your creativity. Can really make you a problem solver that only you has these particular skills to resolve this problem. And when it fuels your creativity and your imagination, then you just have to use the technology to turn those dreams into reality. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So let's switch to questions. We have some. Do you think that there will be space for people to work in the creative side of the business, for example, video editing, marketing, even if artificial intelligence is growing rapidly and is able to perform this kind of work to some extent already?
Yeah, so it's a tough question, the meaning that it's moving really fast, so it's hard to anticipate what will happen exactly. But I truly believe that generative AI and all those tools are just like sort of copilot, an accelerator to our own creativity. So it won't replace the jobs, but the job might change. For example, for video editor, you might not edit video in the same way that we was doing like 10 years ago. So I still believe that there are place in this creativity because we'll have other types of jobs. For example, with the rise of the generative AI, we had a job that was called like prompt engineering, the kind of new kind of jobs that we see that are coming. So definitely room for creatives as well.
Great. Question for the vacation planner. How do you match what people are interested in with the best fit in hotels?
So basically we are connected with GenAI that is fine-tuned with several data sources. And so we have information on the hotels. For example, we know which hotels are kid-friendly, which hotels, for example, has a pool, etc. And so we know which association to make because we have this information from external APIs and external sources that can help to make the decision, as well as some real-time API, for example, the weather, etc., that we can best match the need here.
Okay. How is enforced verification of user identity during potential harmful actions, which have to be approved by the user? For example, installation of non-free application, sending of offending communication, impersonality of user by the third person, etc.
Okay, so I'm not sure I'm the quite expert for this, but I expect that we are talking about robots, so there are different possibilities such as face recognition or biometrics, etc., that can be allowed also to be integrated into the systems. But it's true that the future, I think, if you want those tools to be integrated into adoption, there is a very tight link that has been to make between this security layer and this experience layer, so that we were talking this morning with hackers. You don't want a robot to do something else that he was supposed to do. So it's more a matter of security, but I think it's quite important to allow adoption at the end.
How do you think will Gen AI change the way we design?
So there are already multiple ways. I think if you seek up, for example, as platforms like Canvas or even Figma, etc., they are already integrating tools like Gen AI in order really to fuel your own creativity. So it's really a sort of starter to go from 0 to 1. So it's save you time, even for the brainstorming, for example. It's really a tool that you can use just before you were using, for example, Post-it notes. So before Post-it notes, we are using something else, etc. So I really think it's more a matter of how you can use this tool to design, but it will be mainly someone like a sort of copilot sitting behind you that will help you to be much faster in what you do.
Can technology-driven creativity help address global challenges as climate change, healthcare?
Definitely, and I think it actually needs to also. I think it's important in all those creative technology projects. Of course, we are a global company, a business company, so we want to generate revenues. But I think what we need to keep in mind also is this human touch. We are developing concepts and projects that are good for humans, that are projects that you are proud of explaining to your grandmother at your Christmas dinner, and that you can understand how it's actually helping the world. So definitely, I think those kind of creative ideas should be done for the good, not necessarily for the business. And we have actually also a bunch of projects that are, for example, in the healthcare or in the education, etc. Definitely.
I have a question: how the Auto Alive project processes personal data? Is it always listening and sharing that info to the cloud to process the input and output, or does the car have to have a powerful GPU?
And also for the moment, so it's still at the stage of proof of concept, but it's only on the input from the user. So we are not always listening. Then if we want to approach some other perspectives, a bit like, for example, for Siri, Alexa, when you can trigger, then you need to listen always. So this causes some also problem in terms of privacy. And then it's always, for the moment, processed in the cloud. So we are using such in the cloud, but there is still a question on whether this is a system that will be working inside the car. If yes, definitely we need some compute power or something that will work more online. So for the moment, still at the stage of concept and stage of development. So we have not the answer to all these questions, but definitely some challenges that will be that will arrive eventually when we want to take it to a client.
Thank you. It was the last question.
Thank you very much, everyone.